Welcome to the latest episode of Honest Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the Iqon AG15 Montre Livingston Pro Skate, aka the Gemini. Powerslide very generously offered to send me a set of the Montre Livingston AG15 Pro Skate from Iqon, aka the Gemini. And I've actually wanted to try this ever since the AG10 and the AG20 came out. I can't remember which one came with a plastic cuff, but I really wanted to try that. Jay Cayley from Local Skates was skating them and swore by them, and I just thought they looked quite nice and small and compact and really well built, but never got round to getting a pair. So when these came out, like I said, Powerslide were very generous to send me a pair. This has got a much louder aesthetic than the AG10, which is probably less to my tastes in terms of a silhouette. I kind of tend to go for more understated looks, and this is the kind of thing that I think I would have been really into when I was a teenager, because it's got that kind of 90s hip hop aesthetic. Kind of reminds me of the kind of Tribe Called Quest artwork. I think it was from Low End Theory maybe. One of the things I love about this is it's got the kind of classic 90s pro skate vibe in that everything is from his sponsors. So you've got the Iqon boot, who Montre's sponsored by. You've got the Create Originals frames, his frame sponsor, and you've got Winbrand wheels. I didn't actually know Winbrand was even still going. The last wheel they released, I think, came on Julian Baz Pro Skate for the Adapt Stealth, I think it was, or Brutale. One of the Adapt skates, and I think that was at least a year or two ago. But good to see they're still going, and it's got that kind of like 90s USD pro skate vibe, which I'm really into, and I would love it if more brands did it. Although I think that is what's driven up the price, because I know that this is just below £500 in the UK, and I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that obviously there's different companies involved, like Create Originals and Winbrand, and also it's got a carbon shell underneath with the plastic cuff, so anytime carbon fibers involved, that's going to drive up the price. Also comes with a premium liner. It comes with the MyFit Prime liner, so again that's driving up the price a little bit. But it's got some quite interesting features. It has got an absolutely massive sole plate, which I'm sure I've seen before on another USD skate. I can't remember which skate it was though. The USD 7 maybe? Or the USD Clan? I'm sure I've seen this on a USD skate before. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's got a cushion pad in between to kind of dull the sound and make it more of a kind of like satisfying thud when you land, which I think is really great. Although the sole plate doesn't exactly fit the boot. If you look here, you can see quite a lot of gaps around the outside of the shell. In fact, you can even see the pad underneath, which I guess it means, well, it's got a positive and a negative. The negative is it doesn't look as great. It doesn't look fitted to the boot. But the positive is, unlike some skates, the sole plate's not pushing into the shell and making it feel more cramped with your foot's in there. Another really interesting aspect is it's got a four-way rocker ring system on the cuff. So you can have it up, down, backwards or forwards, which is already kind of making me wonder if too much choice is a bad thing. Although when I was skating the USD Aeon, I thought the cuff was too far back and had too much of space between the back of the boot and kind of leaving that gap there. So I guess if you move it forward, it makes that gap smaller. So I can see it having positives and negatives. It's got the kind of classic 90s sneaker vibe with the extra tongue here sticking out, which it's one of these things, it's like an aesthetic choice. If you're really into things like Jordans and those kind of like high top trainers, I imagine this is very much going to appeal to you. Like I said, it is something I probably would have preferred when I was younger, but now I'm kind of going for a more understated look. But I'm keen to try these on. Going to get some socks on because I've just realised I'm not wearing any. And by the power of editing, we are back, and I am wearing black socks with very attractive little triangles on them. Gonna give these a quick try on, see how they feel. My concern is they look quite bulky and have, because of the double tongue thing, I worry that they're not gonna tighten as much as I would like. But we'll see. Oh, that is a tight fit. So I went for the 9.5 UK because I usually try and squeeze my foot into a size 9 or 9.5 shell. I am a size 10 UK, and I think it's 285 Mondo, something like that. But I can normally fit in size 9.5. Aeons, Sways, the medium them, with an intuition liner. So we will see. Actually, I can get it relatively tight. Yeah, you can clamp it quite tight. Looking down, yeah, it's definitely got that kind of reminds me of like the Valode skin skates back in the, not too long ago, early 2000s, up to 2000 and whenever it was when they stopped. The one thing I'll say though, my foot feels very high inside the shell. It feels like my ankle isn't that far away from the top of the cuff, but maybe I am just imagining that. I'm curious to see what's actually inside it in terms of a heel pad, because it does feel quite, the foot does feel quite high up in the shell. It doesn't feel as if it's sunk down low in it. So let's have a look and see what is in there, because I am willing to bet there is something pretty chunky going on. Let's see. They are quite tight, not too tight. I definitely think they're going to be manageable. I'm absolutely going to heat mold the prime liner just so that there's frees up a little bit more space. I'll heat mold it with huge chunky socks on. Another thing about the skate that I'm a bit apprehensive about is the new Kaiser buckle. I can't remember what it's called, but I've already broken 3 of these this year. I've broken 3 on the USD Sway and I damaged one on a USD Aeon. They break surprisingly easy because the base plate's made of plastic, so I kind of wish they hadn't gone for that buckle, or they changed the buckle to have a metal base plate instead of a plastic one. But let's see what we're dealing with inside here. Ah, right, okay. So it comes with your standard MyFit heel pad, which, does that stick in? Oh, it does. It sticks to the bottom of the liner. That's pretty cool. What is going on inside though? Ah, right. Yeah, that explains why it feels so high in the skate. So, MyFit Prime Liner, I quite like them. I kind of like and dislike them. I think the padding is good quality and well designed. It's obviously taken inspiration from Intuition liners with certain aspects. The only thing I don't like about the Prime Liner is this really fat, soft tongue. I would prefer if it was a thin, harder tongue, but it's not that much of a deal breaker. However, if you piece these on top of each other, so this is a MyFit footbed, which has got a very sizable heel pad inside. It's like that thick. And then you've got that sitting on top of that. So it's basically a double heel pad. I'll be very surprised if I enjoy skating on both of those, because it just makes the foot feel quite stacked inside the shell, which I don't like. I prefer it when my foot is as low into the shell as possible, because I just feel like I've got more control. I also feel like when your foot's high inside the shell, it just makes me really anxious about like breaking my ankle or twisting or just doing some kind of ankle damage, because there's less support. Another thing I would probably do is, I would imagine I'm going to rocker up the cuff just so that it's higher up against my calf and my shin. But how much space is there? There's a decent amount of space with the foot without the liner, so yeah, I definitely think I should be able to make it work with the liner. If it is too tight, this is always a pain doing this. There we go, back in. If it is too tight, I can always try skating it with my Intuition V2, although the Intuition is black and yellow, so I think that might be quite jarring against the kind of cream aesthetic of this skate. Someone, when I put a post up on the Patreon, said this was one of the ugliest skates they'd seen in the last decade, which I think is unfair. I can appreciate it not being to everyone's tastes because it is quite loud and it is quite distinctive. It definitely leans towards a certain demographic. But I wouldn't say it was the ugliest skate I'd seen in the last 10 years. I can definitely think of worse skates. Although I do find the kind of Montre Livingston Rocket Air rip-off of kind of the Michael Jordan logo a little bit cringe. But other than that, I do, like I said, it's not fully to my taste, but many aspects of the skate do look appealing to me. I am really excited to skate Create Originals again. I have skated flat for a few years now, maybe actually 5 years. It's been quite a while. But the last frame I skated when I skated anti-rocker, was the Create Originals frame. I think it's a great anti-rocker frame. I am not going to be skating these stock. These come stock with 50mm 88A. Now, I'm skating these anti instead of flat because I don't have a death wish. I know that Montre Livingston skates them flat in this setup. I've seen him skate them flat in this setup, but I'm not Montre Livingston. I am not even close to Montre Livingston. I'm sure he's a lot more accurate on his grinds than me. I'm sure he's got much better technique. I know he's got much better technique. And I don't really want to get stuck and pitched to the ground on a Royale or a Unity. So yeah, those are definitely getting swapped out for anti-rockers. I'm quite excited about skating anti-rocker again, just to see how it feels after being on flat for so long, and if I notice a kind of huge difference, or if I just kind of realise that maybe I should go back to it or not. Could be quite telling. The liner feels relatively comfortable on. Again, that's one of these things that is far too early to make a judgment. Time will tell. But I'm really looking forward to skating these. It's one of these skates that looks quite pristine just now. So when you actually start getting it covered in mud and dirt and grime and all the rest of it from skating, it could end up looking quite nasty. But I think Iqon have got some interesting ideas, and I'm a really big fan of the AG60 frame that was designed by Justin Thursday, so I'm looking forward to trying these out. As always, I'll be skating these for a few weeks. Oh, I've just noticed that the sole plate's actually bolted down with screws. I'm pretty sure on the earlier models this was just loose and it was only attached with the UFS bolts, but now you can see that it's actually screwed in at a couple of points, so that should make this firmer, not wobble about and not have a negative impact on energy transfer like on skates like the Seba CJ Wellsmore, which is just kind of bolted on with the frame, so it means it does lose a tiny bit of speed that way. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to give these a good thrashing at a bunch of spots. Very interested to see. I don't think I've skated this sole plate before. I'm sure I haven't skated this sole plate before. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, going to skate this for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month, depending on whether or not I'll get along with them. And I'll report back. And we're back. I've been skating the Iqon AG15 Montre Livingston for a couple of weeks now. Been on a bunch of street sessions with them. Last week I skated Unit 23 skate park in Dumbarton for about 3 hours on them. And over the weekend I was at the Carb Cartel Jam in Newcastle. Shout out those guys for putting on a brilliant event. And I skated all day in these. And I've got to say, my overall impression from the time that I've spent on them is they are ridiculously comfortable. I would go as far as to say this is one of the most comfortable skates I've ever used. Now, I did have to heat mold them because they were a little bit tight. They were a little bit short lengthways. I heat molded them with some thicker socks on, and then after that, they were just insanely comfortable to ride. I was also pleasantly surprised by how little break-in time there was. Normally when I get a new pair of skates, it takes me a little bit of time to kind of feel them out or just kind of get used to the different cuffs in terms of royales and top size and stuff like that. With these, pretty much from the first few grinds, they were just an absolute dream. I've never skated this sole plate before. I think it's originally off the USD7. I know that Gods have used it as well. And sole plate was really good, nice and fast, really good for lock-ons on backslide tricks. Very generous in case, you know, you're like me and you miss a lot. You may notice I removed the middle wheels because I'm not skating 58, 88A flat on Create Originals. And I couldn't find any anti-rocker wheels. I eventually, on the last session that I used these, got a set of anti-rocker wheels, and they kept catching anytime I was grinding something, anytime I was like skating along, they would catch like grooves in the pavement and stuff and make this sound. So I just took them out and went full caveman, like an absolute reprobate. Another thing about this skate that I was quite surprised by and not expecting at all is that the energy transfer is really good. I'm pretty sure on the previous models of this that the sole plate wasn't screwed in, but now it is. And even skating them with only 4 wheels, they felt really responsive, really fast, and it just wasn't an issue at all generating speed. I thought going from a plastic shell with a flat setup to skating this, I would hate it and feel really sluggish. And it wasn't that experience at all, which I'm genuinely surprised by. Also, the fact that it comes with 88A wheels, I thought would again make it feel quite slow, but no, nice and fast, also nice and grippy. And Create Originals, it's been years since I've skated Create Originals and I forgot how good they are. I really enjoyed that as well. Grinds were just, especially skating caveman, because you didn't have to worry about catching or wheel bite at all. I started doing torque slides again in ledges, which I never do, and probably did the best torque slides I've done on ledges in any setup on this, just because I wasn't afraid. As I previously mentioned, the cuff comes with a 4-way rockering option, so you can go up, down, forward or backwards. To be honest, having it rockered down felt great. I felt like I had enough support with enough flex that I didn't actually feel the need to test out the other options. But if you don't like that little gap that's there, perhaps you could want to rocker it forwards, that's an option. The negatives about the skate are actually quite few and far between, and most of them are aesthetic-based negatives. Although there are a couple of ones that, yeah, you could argue impede performance. The first one is I don't really like the tongue that comes with the MyFit Prime liner. It's really thick, but it's really soft, and as a result, you can feel the buckle strap quite prominently against your shin. Now, it doesn't hurt and it's not uncomfortable in any way. In fact, after 2 or 3 sessions, I didn't even notice it. But the combination of it not having a flaps that wrap all the way around means that even when you close it over, I think I was like closing it to there, you could just kind of feel this pressing against because this is so soft. So I would probably prefer to have a stiff, thin tongue like you get in an Intuition V2. But to be honest, every other aspect of the liner was so comfortable that I was willing to overlook this. They've got this nice padding just above, just kind of round about the ankle that properly like hugs the foot in and makes you feel really locked into the skate, which I really, really liked. And although I was full of praise for the sole plates, which I really like, got really nice lock on, really nice and fast, they feel quite hard. They make quite a satisfying noise when you grind on them as opposed to some which can feel quite soft. I did notice because it was so wide on the inside that sometimes when I pushed off, my skate would kind of, I wouldn't wipe out, but it would catch the sole plate on the ground. So I had to be quite conscious of keeping my skate nice and straight when I was pushing off. But that only happened a few times on the first couple of sessions. Then I kind of adjusted my stride otherwise. So it's just something to kind of keep an eye out on. And the biggest negative that I can say about this skate is not actually got anything to do with performance at all. It's purely aesthetic, and that is that the sole plate just doesn't fit the skate very well. In fact, you can just see loads of gaps all around it. And for some reason, they've chosen to make the kind of cushioning that they put between the sole plate and the boot black. So it really stands out and makes it really obvious that the sole plate isn't fitting well to the skate. This doesn't impede performance in any way. In fact, I love this sole plate. I thought it was brilliant, but it is just quite annoying to look down and have that and see the black underneath that you're not meant to see. It's meant to be an internal part. So I do find that quite annoying because this is a really high-end skate. It's over £500, it's carbon fiber, it comes with a high-end liner, comes with pro frame, pro wheels, but yet I just think Iqon could go that one step further and make a tailor-made sole plate for this, something that just really hugs the boot and looks like it was made for this skate. This sole plate doesn't look like it was made for this skate. My main takeaways from the AG15 Montre Livingston is, if you want a bright, loud skate, this is the skate for you. I lost count of how many times people came up to me wanting to talk about this skate at the skate competition on Saturday. Everyone had something to say about it, whether it was referencing the design, the colours. A lot of people commented on the fact that the sole plate doesn't look like it fits the skate. But if you want an attention-grabbing skate, this is the skate for you. Also, if you've got wide feet like me or big feet like me and you want a generous fit, this skate is definitely the skate for you. It offers a really nice wide toe box, nice wide shell that you can stretch out with the liner and make it even more roomy. And if you're a fan of kind of the bulky aesthetic, this is the skate for you. This skate is chunky. It has got a lot of girth. So if you like a kind of sneaker style skate, like Rems or the skinned Valos or a Carbon or a Gods, I think this is really going to appeal to that market. In fact, I had quite a kind of funny interaction with my daughter. I left these in the footwell of my car and picked my daughter up from school, and she opened the car door and was like, "Oh my God, what are those? Those are really cool." And I was like, "All right, what do you like about them?" And she was like, "The patterns, the colors." She was like, "Do they make those in my size?" And I was like, "No, unfortunately not." And she was like, "Well, can you keep them until they are my size?" And I was like, "That's quite a bit away considering you're 8 years old." So I don't always agree with Montre Livingston's design on skates. In fact, that carbon free that had the hanging like kind of braids imitating dreadlocks off the cuff. But it turns out that he is very good at appealing to a certain market, and that market is 8-year-old girls. Another thing I would say about the skate is I was really worried about this buckle because I've already broken 3 of them this year and I just don't think they're that great. But didn't have that issue once because the buckle protector on this cuff is fantastic. In fact, it's one of the better ones I've seen. Most buckle protectors sit flush with the buckle, so there's still a very good chance you can catch it if you miss a sole trick, whereas this actually protrudes out further. So Even if you hit it there, you're just going to miss it completely, which I thought was a nice touch. And as I've previously said, I cannot speak highly enough about how comfortable these are and how well they perform. I didn't feel like I had to relearn any tricks. I didn't feel like I lost any tricks, which very regularly happens when I try a different skate. And not once did I get a single pinch or any kind of cramping or any kind of toe crushing, which I think there's like maybe 5 skates on the market that don't do that to my feet. So I'm a size 10 UK, we're a size 9.5 in most skates, and it's usually a tight fit. With these, it's a very, very comfortable fit. So if you're looking to gain some room, this is a very viable option. My biggest complaint about this skate is basically just the looks. It's just a bit loud for my tastes. I prefer something a bit more minimalist. In fact, now that I've been skating these and I've realised how much I enjoy how they perform, I think I would really like the AG10 or the AG20, like the first ones that Iqon's released that were just all black. And I think because it's all black, it would also hide the fact that the sole plate doesn't fit the shell or the boot as well, because it's all the same colour, as opposed to this that has the kind of black, which really highlights it and shows off that it's not properly fitting. But my biggest complaints about this skate are all aesthetic things. So if you like how this skate looks and this style appeals to you and you're really into sneaker culture, or I know this was inspired by a Fila basketball shoe that I can't remember the name of, but if you like how this looks, I'm really willing to bet you're gonna like how it performs, because this is the complete opposite of the style of skate I would normally wear, and I loved it. And if this was all black, or all white, or even if it was all cream and just didn't have all these kind of like loud features, I would definitely have stuck with this skate. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Just want to give a giant shout out to my Patreon supporters. They are shown on the screen now. If you want to join the Wheel Scene Patreon, you can do so for as little as £3 a month. There's a ton of videos on there that are not on the YouTube channel. And once again, thanks for watching, and hopefully speak to you guys soon. To close things out, here's a bunch of stupid slams that I did because I fall over a lot.